Hi everybody, my name is Anne. Thanks for joining me on Art on the Creek. Once again, we're in my home studio in Parker, Colorado, and I am so happy you're here with me today. We are going to talk about special effects that you can create in watercolor. You may already know what these are, you may have never seen them before, and you may have others. So if you do, please leave a note in the comments and we can all benefit from it. So let's go explore. I've got a few fun things that I rely on. Let's see what we can do with special effects in watercolor. Are you ready? Let's go play. What am I up to now, you're wondering? Well, first things first, let's talk about these. Magic Swedish cloths, perfect for cleaning and scrubbing. They're eco-friendly, 80% cellulose, 20% cotton. You can wash them in the dishwasher or the washing machine. And one cloth will replace 15 kitchen and paper towel rolls. So like the whole thing. This is a pack of 10, I believe. I got these on Amazon, but you can get them from IKEA. If you have an IKEA around you. This is what it's like dry. It's very stiff. Let's just get a corner of it wet here. Oh, it absorbs really quickly. And then it becomes very soft and pliable. So a friend of mine recommended these instead of a paper towel for a blotting rag. So I'm going to try that. We're going to have that here. I'm going to play with some paint today. I have some things to share with you, different kinds of watercolor techniques that you might want to try when you're looking for some fun new way to play with your watercolors. Doesn't matter what color paint or what kind of paint you use for this, so I'm just going to set that over here. Don't worry if it's off camera. It's not important. Just any paint will work. I have tin foil, salt. You can use regular table salt. This is a real thick, flaky salt. I have a natural sponge, some rice, some plastic wrap or saran wrap, cling wrap, and water, and rubbing alcohol. So we're going to try some different techniques. Let me just move all of these guys. What would be a fun color to use for our test? Let's do purple. Why not? Well, the rag works. Here's a good purple. I'm just going to fill this entire area in with paint. As you're watching this, kind of keep in mind the texture that you want to create in your watercolor. And I want to show you what happens if you spray rubbing alcohol on wet paint. And I'm just going to test spray it over here. Yep, it's going. Look at that. So that's rubbing alcohol on paint. You can drip it, you can spray it, you can get some really neat effects. If you're working on an actual painting with that rubbing alcohol, be sure you mask off the areas that you don't want that alcohol on. Well, now let's try just the water spray. And this could be the same effect as dripping in water. Basically what you're trying to do is force some cauliflower blooms. So we can drop some water in here and just kind of see what happens. With both the rubbing alcohol and the water, you're really going to open doors to a huge range of special effects possibilities. You can drop water in with a brush. You can paint with water on top of your paint. You can drip it in with different styles of sprayers. Some sprayers have a fine mist, some have a droppy, kind of a sloppy mist. So play around, see what you can find, see what you like best, and use the one that works for you. You could even use a toothbrush and flick water on it. It's really, you could have a lot of possibilities. And now I will show you that you can take a dry sponge, and it doesn't have to be a natural sponge, it can be any sponge, and lift off some paint in some very subtle ways. Spoiler alert, this one is on me. I should have used a different color to show you the effects of the dry sponge. It really is a nice subtle effect if you use a very dark color. I've used it before in my paintings and I really like it. Unfortunately, it really doesn't show up too much here on the yellow, so forgive me for that moment because I've got another thing at the end that we can play with the yellow paint to have a fun effect. So here is the sponge that is wet, and we can do some more lifting. The result with the wet sponge is very soft and very nice. Now for the next one, let's move to a red shade and let's play with some salt. I have a couple of different kinds that I want to show you. This is a really thick, coarse kosher salt that I have. Some of these grains are just like little pyramids. So I'm going to put that one on the right-hand side here. This jar is just regular table salt. Put this one here. And it will get a very similar effect with smaller starbursts. With all the different kind of salts that are available now, you can just try any of them and see what you come up with. Let's do a nice green now. The overarching takeaway of all of these special effects is they work best if you don't dry your painting with a heat tool. Wet on wet, I have found, works really well, although you can do some fun lifting techniques that I'll show you here in a bit after your painting's already dry. But with these, where you're doing these specialty kind of things, you really want to make sure you have a good amount of wetness to your painting and that you're willing to walk away from it, let it dry, let it sit there and let it do its thing. These processes just cannot be rushed. We're going to try just regular white rice. You can try any kind of rice. You can do arborio, long grain, minute rice might work. I just don't have any because I don't buy minute rice, but if you do, try it. That's the thing about watercolor. It's only paper. Just try it, see what you can come up with. So there's the rice. You can already see it working, and look at the salt up here. Isn't that nice? I like the way the alcohol is drying, and this is going to become very soft. And these last two techniques are some of my favorite. I really do like this one with the blue. This is my favorite by far, and it's using saran wrap. So there's our blue, and now when it's wet with your little piece of plastic wrap, come on. What I like to do is to lay it on and then scrunch it up and kind of pull it in. Push it down in there so that you can get a really nice pattern. And already, I don't know how much glare you're getting from the plastic, but already that is really making a neat effect. All right, now this one we won't be able to see as quickly as the plastic, but let's go ahead and try it. Let's do some foil. And all of these, remember, are done on wet pigment. So now all we need to do is just wait and let these dry naturally. You're always going to get the best effect from all of these if you just let them dry naturally. Whenever you take a heat tool to something, you're going to stop that watercolor from doing its thing. There are plenty of other techniques out there that I'm not showing you here. I just wanted to show you these, and we'll see where we're going with these in just a moment. Let's start by taking the tape off here. I'm not going to use a heat tool. Let's see, hopefully it'll work. This one was the damp sponge, the natural sponge, and this was the dry natural sponge, just a little bit down here. Frankly, it looks like nothing happened. I want to try something else here, and then I found these guys, so we're going to try something else. Here we have the purple, oops. The purple one. And this was water, and this was rubbing alcohol. That rubbing alcohol is really cool. It just really looks like geodes or some kind of effect. This is with big drops. These small dots here are with a spray, and this is a spray. So honestly, I think the big drops make a really fun effect. Now I want to talk about the saran wrap, which is this one here. This really looked cool as I was doing it. Oh my gosh, you guys. Here's the foil, the tin foil. A little bit of action there. And then for these, I'm going to brush them into my trash can. So bear with me just a minute. Oh my goodness. You can do a bokeh effect with so many things, but I want to try this with these sponges. So let me get this one wet. This is the biggest one. And I'm just going to spin it, trying to kind of keep it in one spot. So with the exception of this one we just did, this was wet on dry, where we removed some of the color. Doesn't that just look like sunlight coming through the leaves? That's the bokeh effect. And you can use that for backgrounds. It's really great. This was a wet sponge lifting off. If this were blue, you could use it for clouds. Green, you could use it for foliage. Yes, this was the rubbing alcohol on the wet. I think it works best on wet paint. And this was water, dropping in water, forcing cauliflower blooms. Here's the rice. Look at that. It almost looks like a negative print of rice or a biological slide of little amoeba. You could do it with a dark blue. It would be really lovely with like a Prussian blue and make it into a night sky. Now let's take a look at this red here. I really like this. This is the kosher salt, and here is the regular table salt. So if you turned it this way and you had a different color, you could make or you could do it with this color, you could make a mountainscape and stars in the sky. You could turn it this way and let this be meadow flowers and have these be the flowers further in the distance. And then you could just do something with the sky there. There's a lot that you can use these textures for. Here's the foil. This one's kind of cool. I really like that one. That one could be used in a mountain face. The fun thing about these is that they end up being random, and you can't control what you're going to get. So it kind of forces you as a creative to expand your mind and see what do I see here? What can that become? Or if you're using them with more intent, which you certainly can, get your painting done and then use a small area to create this kind of a texture on rocks. I really like that. And you might want to also test it with different paints to see how it works. This, I kind of see a leaf here. And here's the stem back here, and with this coming down this way. So you could do some really fun drawings with this. But that's what I just wanted to show you guys today. Some of the fun techniques that you can do with watercolor. And enjoy yourself. Give yourself time to play in the paint. See what it will do. Go ahead, get some relatively inexpensive paper. Try a bunch of techniques. And then when you want to paint something on some quality paper, you'll know which technique you want to use. All right. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today and exploring some special effects in watercolor. If you have some other effects that you go to or you like to use, please leave a comment and let us know so that we can all grow and learn as artists together. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Have a great week. We'll see you next time. Bye now.